We're just finishing up some of the irrigation, the drip irrigation on the farm. And this is in the middle of the bed making season. We're transferring over some late summer to some early fall, autumn crops. And so this is a finished bed with the irrigation tape. And we're gonna show you the process of prepping a very rough bed. One of the beds where we had tomatoes growing on a tall trellis, and we cut those tomatoes down after the harvest. And here's the material on top of the bed. See plenty of grass in here. Pathways got mulched with paper and wood chips. So we're gonna remove this material, harvest it for the compost, broad fork, add in some compost, lay in some new irrigation, drip irrigation lines, and then plant. We will leave this trellis system in for next year. We're gonna run some of the netting on here and grow peas, early spring peas. Don't this place look good? Thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon and makes this beauty continue. Removed the blade, the flail cutter. We removed that. The line cutter is spring loaded. First thing you want to do is make sure that there's no battery in your machine. So there's no battery in this machine right now. This isn't a tutorial about this, so we're just gonna line it up and do it. And then we're gonna get over there, cut that grass down, and then fork it out with the pitchfork. Super simple. Line it up, rotate it till it locks. That allows this to be depressed and let the string come out. So, gotta do it. Do it before you even put the battery in. Battery's in. I'm gonna go cut this thing down. You can see that part, and then we'll pitchfork out the rest.
This is what grew while the tomatoes were in the ground. You hear the roots releasing. When you pull it out, you see a lot from underneath coming out. Fork that's at the edge of the pathway in the bed, and then he just goes horizontally across. Now he's going back down. And then one of us goes behind and just pulls out as much of the grass as possible. You see this nut sedge. These come out slightly differently, but you'll see what they look like when they get pulled out. The tops have been cut, loosened. They have a long root with a small nut at the bottom that's attached, that unless you get that nut out, the grass will sprout back. Those nuts can sit either completely dehydrated or submerged in water and still persist. There's another one.
This is a tomato root.
So
You can see here the pattern from the drip irrigation. We reuse that pattern in order to put in our transplants and see what's going to happen with our success rate for the transplants nowadays. And so you can see the pattern of the drip. The plants are in, and we'll give them an overhead water later on this evening. This is the material coming out of the bed. So after being forked, we go through and get it all up, and it ends up somewhere, maybe compost, maybe in a fire pit, maybe around some banana trees. We'll see.
This is a general amendment blend that we refer to as dry mix. We put out about 2 to 3 quarts of it on each bed as we're remaking the bed. It's got kelp, alfalfa, soybean meal, sea minerals, but it just gets sprinkled down on the surface. It's got humates in it. So it's sprinkled on the surface, and then on top of it, we add a layer about 1 inch thick of compost. This is well broken down compost from food waste that we source from Compost Cowboy. We use it as a top dressing. We're able just to spread it on the surface like a mulch, and that way it breaks down on the top and the microbes are able to pull what they want from it without us mixing in any unbroken down material. Either we'll get loads of compost delivered to the farm, or we'll go pick up a yard at a time. 1 yard fills up the bed of this truck, and it gives us about enough to make 3 beds, 2.5 to 3 wheelbarrows full on top of each newly made bed.
When it's time to rake out the compost, that's only how deep you really want your rake to go. We're not trying to dig into it. We're allowing the tool to do the work so that it is taking across the top only the amount of material that you want left there when it's over, which is only about maybe 1 inch or 1.5 inches of that. And so you're mindful of the area that you forked, which is right along the edge of the bed, and you just let the rake drag the material and stay within your lines. This is primarily a full body thing. It's not just an arm thing. You can keep your arms in one spot and just let your legs glide you across as long as your core is engaged. And that way, if there's rough spots, you just turn the rake over, flat side, and get some extra material and move it across. That's kind of how I like to finish it, with the flat side. Get a nice even planting surface for seeds, but in this case we're probably going to do transplants. Same thing, we're going to lay out the drip tape. We want a flat area that we're laying the drip tape on. And then we'll do the transplants after that. It's a way to evenly distribute the compost material. Practice makes perfect. You're not going to get it like this right in the beginning. So as we transition these beds from summer to fall, it gives us an opportunity to put in the drip irrigation and complete it. We already have the main line in. And what we'll do is we'll look at this bed here and we'll end up poking some holes here and holes here to connect the drip tape with these valves. All we did was install it into that hole that was punched with this tool. Here's your valve. This piece will rotate onto the drip tape. And then we'll, at the very end of the bed, we'll install these. These allow you to flush the line. And once you flush the line, or flush both lines, you close this off. And that builds up pressure in the hose that then causes these emitters to allow water to come out onto the bed. We're gonna roll the line out, measure it, cut it, attach it, check it, flush it, wet it down. Once we start getting our spots, our pattern from the drip emitters, then we plug in our plants along with the patterns. Better success that way because we know each root of each plant is going to be fed with water. Cool? Simple tools, simple products. We want to take good care of it so we don't have to have damaged plastic in our fields. We do not plow in our plastic. We're going to move the plastic each time we make the bed, like you saw when we made the Napa cabbage bed. We pulled the tape back. After pulling the tape back, we made the bed and planted the plants. Again, the drip tape goes on the bed with the line facing up. There's an emitter. That emitter will let the fluid come out, let the liquid come out, let the water come out. This is how we attach all the attachments to these very simple plumbing systems. Secure the tape, just push it all the way in. Once it's pushed in, you're gonna do a reverse screwing, opposite of what you might think. And that pulls this piece down on top of the tape. That lays down here and we'll do a staple, ground staple that'll go right here to hold this in place. Again, this is for draining the line. That opens up, the water is able to run out. And then we attach it again. There we go. I get nervous when I'm on stage, even after all these years. This bed of mustards that was planted in the shade of this okra, we're gonna transition it into something else, maybe some carrots or radishes or beets or something like that. And in the meantime, we need to remake this bed, which won't be hard because it's already fully prepped. The main thing we want to do is get rid of these irrigation drip tape lines so they don't get damaged. First thing, take that valve and turn it off. That'll stop any water flow that might be happening in the pipe. We're gonna leave it attached here. We're not gonna detach it here. We're gonna just pull up the staples on the other end and fold this tape back or off to the side, depending on how much space you normally have in your bed. So we'll just roll it back and fold it up. Next time when you do it though, open this up and drain them first. Because there's still some water in these pipes. There's not a big issue with that, but it might make it easier to move them. And because we're pulling all these plants up and they're gonna go into the compost, it doesn't matter if they get slightly damaged in the pullback part. We remove the plants, take them to the compost, and then we might broad fork this bed. We might not, but we'll definitely put the dry mix on it, add a light layer of compost, rake it out like we demonstrated earlier, rake it out properly with the tooth side and then the flat side. And then if we're gonna seed it, we'll use the mechanical seeder, seed it first, and then lay out the drip tape. These are the staples from the end where the drains were. We're just gonna put them here on the main line so that we know where they are.